Every time Lisa pulled the curtains, she would always see a man in the opposite building was spying on him. Once, twice, 3 times. An eerie feeling came over me, as if he was the Spider-Man in the news. Spider-Man had killed 4 young girls, and Lisa herself. It is very likely that the Spider-Man stings. Scared, Lisa rushed to tell her husband about it, but her husband gave her the wrong guidance, saying that the opposite side might be a mannequin. Lisa could only assume that this was a kind reassurance from her husband, but her fearful heart made her decide to test this guidance. So she tried to say hello to the other side, Pagio, and they said hello back to her. Now it's true. Who's a mannequin that says hello? But her husband was working late at the same time. Lisa immediately thought of Spider-Man. She spent the rest of the night in fear, thinking she might be the 5th woman. The 5th woman to be murdered on the news. But strangely enough, she waited until the next morning. Her husband still hadn't returned. She was in a foreign country she didn't know. She couldn't speak the language. Now there were strangers snooping around. She was afraid to go out of the house half a step, so she waited at home for her husband to return. But it was late at night again. Her husband didn't come back. Instead, she waited for a snowfall, just when she was watching the snow to relieve her tension. When she looked up, she saw the peepers across the street again. She did not want to stay in this house for a moment. A woman's intuition is the most accurate. She sensed that if she didn't move out, she might die. Her husband finally came home late at night. She told him her concerns, but her husband thinks she is idle. She had become paranoid. She went to bed without saying anything. By the next morning, the murder was reported on the news again. It happened in the building next door. A single woman, assassinated in her home by the district hand. The police suspected that it was Spider-Man. The whereabouts of the man are still unknown. A young woman living alone. Then the husband goes to work during the day. Lisa will become a young woman living alone. Then she is bound to become the prey of Spider-Man. And think about these days being spied on. Was the Spider-Man looking for an opportunity to strike? At this point, Lisa no longer dared to stay at home. She waited until her husband went to work. She went to a crowded movie theater by herself. She thought she would be safe as long as she was not alone. But what she didn't realize was, peeping Toms are often stalkers. And sure enough, just as Lisa was letting her guard down, she felt a man suddenly come in behind her. Her intuition told her this person behind her gave her a very familiar feeling. This made Lisa's heart tightened to her throat. She looked back in fear, but she didn't dare to look directly at him. She only saw that he was wearing brown leather shoes and a cold killing intent. Lisa was so scared that she ran away. It's over, isn't it? The cinema was crowded. He wouldn't dare to commit a crime even if he was crazy. He was out alone, but it gives the other side the opportunity to attack. Sure enough, when Lisa was hiding in the supermarket, she saw the brown leather shoes again. This time she got a good look at him. Small, greasy hair, green jacket. There was no trace of positive energy, and the other guy noticed Lisa too. He sensed that Lisa was spying on him, so he stomped on the glass with his brown leather shoes to give Lisa a surprise. Did you see the color of the shoes? I'm the one who followed you to the movie theater. Every time a woman opens the curtains, there's always someone spying on her, and he's a stalker. He followed Lisa to the cinema and the supermarket, so Lisa reported him to the police, suspecting that the man in the building across the street was the serial killer. But when her husband and the police went to investigate together, the husband must have found something, but he didn't tell Lisa anything. He thought that hiding it would make Lisa less worried. Right. But this uncertainty, Lisa became even more worried, since neither her husband nor the police would tell her the truth. Lisa had to take matters into her own hands. She began to follow the killer, but the killer's routine seemed normal. There was nothing suspicious about him. He was kind enough to feed the pigeons. He ate in a normal manner. There was no sign of the murderer. But when Lisa followed him to the alley, only then did Lisa change her mind. She found out that he was just a janitor. Who would have thought that the person who spied on her every day was a janitor? This made Lisa doubt herself. Did she misunderstand him? But after she returned home, still do not dare to let down their guard. The more normal things seem to be, is often a cover-up. She is insecure, put up a lot of defenses in the home, making an otherwise cozy home becomes extremely defensive, and her husband was away at work all the time. Fortunately, she has a good neighbor, but this neighbor is a woman who lives alone. Spider-Man often preys on women who live alone. Then the neighbor is not very dangerous. However, the neighbor seemed very calm. She asked Lisa to open the drawer. Lisa opened it and saw inside was a handgun. The neighbor also told her, sometimes men can't be trusted. You can't rely on your husband when you are in danger. More often than not, you have to rely on the gun in your hand. If you are strong, we'll still be afraid of a small thief. And you don't have to be afraid every day when your husband is not home. The neighbor's words gave Lisa a little courage. It could be said that, don't play with your life. Soon something happened at the neighbor's house. She suddenly heard the sound of a fight in her neighbor's house, and there were screams from the neighbors. Lisa rushed to knock on the door, suspecting that the neighbor was being threatened by Spider-Man. She called the landlord, got a spare key. She opened the door and rushed in. She saw a lamp on the floor. There was also a stray cat. Is the sound of fighting really a cat pushing down the lamp? But that's not right, because Lisa clearly heard female neighbor's screams. Now, if I investigate carefully, I'm sure we can find useful clues. Unfortunately, at this critical moment, the landlord said Lisa was suspicious of this and that, and suspected of trespassing. Lisa was thrown out. Now we missed the best time. Sure enough, Lisa didn't see her neighbors for many days. She didn't see her neighbor again. Then the neighbor's boyfriend came straight to her. He couldn't reach the neighbor either. No matter how hard he knocked, the door wouldn't open. After the last break-in, Lisa didn't dare to break in this time, but she thought that the man in front of her could help, so she asked her neighbor's boyfriend to take her to the building across the street to meet the peeping Tom. Catch the peeping Tom. The man took her with him to the peeping Tom's door, knocking hard, but the people inside just do not come out. At this critical moment, the man also received a phone call. Then he said he had to leave, leaving Lisa alone to face the fear. Lisa thought that she was going to die anyway. She might as well be bold, so she took a big step forward. She was ready for a crazy confrontation with the thief, but when she opened the door, there was an old man inside. Lisa didn't know what to do for a moment. Shouldn't the person living here be the kleptomaniac in brown shoes? She had to leave in embarrassment. But then, while waiting for the elevator, something unexpected happened. The man in the brown shoes appeared right in front of Lisa's eyes, and the old man from earlier was his father. Lisa was so frightened that she rushed away. In the last time, the husband and the police came to the peeping Tom's house to investigate, also met the peeping Tom's father. In the end, they chose to hide. I think Lisa is exaggerating a bit. She even laughed at Lisa for thinking too much. How could an old man spy on her? However, just when Lisa was angry, who would have thought this peeping Tom would do something different? Instead, he called the police, saying that Lisa had been stalking him. She even brought people to break down his door, even threatened his father. It seems that, when he was knocking on the door, peeping Tom was watching from the shadows. How else would he know these details? And now he's playing nice, to shake hands with Lisa and make peace. Lisa felt insulted. This guy was so sinister, so she prepared to take the bus to the office to get help from her husband. But then Lisa turned around and saw peeping Tom was sitting here at some point. Then felt very uneasy, and the peeping Tom was still slowly approaching. Told Lisa to relax, and explained the reason for peeping. She said she was under a lot of pressure. I can only divert my emotions by looking at other people's windows, but this diversion has caused problems for others. Last time, he shook hands and said he would make up, hoped to get Lisa's forgiveness. Lisa did not want to say anything to him. However, when she arrived at her husband's company, her husband thinks she has a lot to do day in and day out. She doesn't go to work and thinks about useless things every day. Lisa was so angry that she broke up with him directly. When she got home, she started to pack her bags, but just as she was about to leave, there was another noise from the neighbor's house. She never saw the neighbor. Even if she leaves, she had to say goodbye to her. But when she was about to knock on the door, she found that the door was not locked at all. Curious, she went in. She saw her neighbor's body lying there quietly. Lisa was scared when a man behind her suddenly knocked her out. When she woke up, the peeping Tom's knife was already on Lisa's neck before Lisa died. He even laughed at Lisa. You heard a fight at the neighbor's house. You brought the landlord over to check it out. The neighbor was already dead. At the time, you both thought the cat had knocked over the lamp, but I didn't know that your neighbor and I were hiding in the cupboard. If you searched a little, I would have been caught. It's a pity that you people are so stupid. Then let's die knowingly. With a slash of the knife, I cut Lisa's artery before the blood dried up. Lisa crawled forward desperately, because in the neighbor's drawer, there was a gun hidden in the neighbor's drawer. But Lisa lost too much blood. She finally couldn't crawl anymore. The peeping Tom just watched her quietly, watching her last struggle for life, ruthlessly laughing at her life. But just then, Lisa's cell phone rang. It was her husband calling. The husband husband heard the ringing from next door, so he slowly walked towards his neighbor's house. He happened to run into a peeping Tom, who had come out. The husband now doesn't know what's going on. The peeping Tom saw that the husband was confused, decided to turn around and leave. But the next moment, he was shot straight through, followed by another shot. Look at their acting skills, and look at the posture of the shot. It's really impressive. But then look back at Lisa. The artery in her neck is cut. Still have the strength to raise the gun. The point is, you are still standing up. You were on your back, weren't you? It's reasonable for you to shoot while lying on your back, right? Well, this stand up how are. Hey, who made you Lisa?